What's going on, everybody? Doug here, one of the hosts, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, here with the bonus review roundup episode for you all this week. You know, it's been a while. I want to say, 2 months since my last review roundup episode? I apologize, but I am better with my reviews on this time because, again, I'm actually on schedule, and I saw movies. I always see movies, but now I have seen movies on time, and I have a quick turnaround now, better turnaround, I would say, for these reviews. Usually in the past few months, I was kind of like, yeah, I'll see a movie a couple of weeks, and then I'll wait for a few weeks to do a review. Shame on me. I'm a podcaster, I'm a critic, I'm a host. I know better. I should know better. Again, 3 years of doing this podcast with the boys, I should have this shit figured out by now, but I am so glad you all are here. On this week's review roundup episode, of course, I have 2 movies to review for you all this week. Of course, as always, 2 very different films. Again, on brand at this point, and I have my reviews of Good Fortune and Blue Moon. Not the beer, the movie made by my boy, Richard Linklater, a movie that I was looking forward to seeing. Of course, of Good Fortune, Aziz Ansari's directorial debut with Keke Palmer, Keanu Reeves, and Seth Rogen. I am eager, you know why? Because I'm in a good mood with these 2 movies to review these all for you on this week's review roundup episode for you all this week. Like I said, guys, it's been a bit crazy for me on my schedule. Started a new job a few months ago, and I've been working overnights now, and man, that's tough. It's been kind of tough with my schedule and movies, and I mean, don't worry, I'm still gonna see movies regardless. Who am I kidding? But still though, it's been a bit of like an adjustment with like seeing movies like at a certain time. I used to like get off of work around like 4, 5-ish and then go see a movie. Now I'm kind of like waking up at 5 p.m. and then heading to a screening with Nick or going to a movie on my own. But I'm trying to be better, I guess, be more due diligent with my time and making sure that I'm scheduling these pretty well. I'm still behind on Roofman, still behind on Smashing Machine. I see those before they leave. I think Smashing Machine's leaving my theater this week, so I got to see that. We had a screening for After the Hunt, but we were unfortunately busy with another schedule, as is with Good Fortune. Good Fortune had a bit of a scheduling conflict because we had Black Phone 2 the same day, so we saw Black Phone 2 instead. As you heard my review last week, you saw my out-of-theater reaction. But I am behind on Roofman as well as, like I said, Smashing Machine. Still eager to see both of those. I should have my review of those out hopefully by end of this week. I'll probably go midweek to see both these movies. And I want to see After the Hunt, but I'm not hearing the best things about it. And we had a few screenings for that too, again, scheduling conflicts. But I also haven't seen it really release wide. I think it's an Amazon MGM, but it didn't really get a wide release. And what's odd, because I know the Regal by me had a fan screening, like an advanced screening for Regal members and fans. So they had it, but they're not playing it at my local theater now. So I'm kind of like, it's a bummer. And when I hear movies aren't that great, even though it's my job as a critic, as a host, I kind of feel a little bit not as thrilled to review it, I would say. And I think this time around, this movie, if it was getting better buzz, I think I would probably seek it out, but I just don't feel like kind of like driving down to like a random theater to go see a movie that hasn't been well received. I might like it, I might appreciate it, but I'm still debating. I would hope it comes to my local theater, but right now it doesn't seem too likely. I think it came out limited last week, and I think the limited release didn't do well. And I'm not really a huge fan of that model, if you ask me, because films like Steve Jobs and my beloved, I have my poster right there on my wall right there, Everybody Wants Some, they were kind of given the short end of the stick in terms of like not getting a wide release. And again, last year's example, it was a Saturday Night Live movie that me and Nick just loved. We raved about it. But Sony did a thing where they were doing like, hey, we're going to do a little bit of a small release, get a feel for it, and then do wide. But unfortunately, when it went wide, we didn't get a lot of it in theaters here in Arizona. So me and Nick had to track it down at a theater kind of like not too close to us, but not too far. Again, it's first world problems, of course. But still, I'm not a big fan of that model of like, hey, small release, and then we'll see how it does, and then put it out there. I get it's an investment. You want to see how your return will be on these movies. Again, it costs a lot of money, but I think you're also hurting his chances to be seen by doing that. And again, I have no solution to it. Don't ask me. But for some reason that like I've missed out on movies because they haven't done well, and I'm like, I would love to see the movie in theaters. Again, seeing Everybody Wants Some at home, I love that movie, but like seeing it in theaters would have been like maybe more life changing. But that's how I see it personally. But again, happy movies are still around, so the theatrical experience. So yeah, as always, guys, you can find this podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube Music, and of course, you can see our lovely faces on our YouTube page with the video element of our show, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. We don't have any podcast platforms or YouTube. Again, don't be shy. Hit that follow, subscribe, rate and review us. Want to hear from you guys. Again, all feedback is good feedback. We'll take it. We're still growing. We're going on, wow, man, 3 years come next month, which is hard to believe. And we always appreciate feedback. Again, negative, neutral, positive. I had some guy told me last week my audio still sucked 3 years later. I'm like, hey, I think I disagree with you, but I appreciate the honesty. But no, seriously, we do really appreciate your support, but also we do really value your feedback. And you are the backbone and a big part of this community and how we're growing the show. So don't be shy. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, send us a message. We do want to hear from you all because your feedback truly, and I mean truly, means the world to us. So thank you all for tuning in almost 3 years later. And we have a lot more to cover for you all this year and a lot more going on for the years to come. So just get started. We are working right now getting our South by credentials back up and going. Hopefully all three of us this year, Nick, myself, and Moses, can all go again to South by. I think it's like second week of March because Nick and I had a phenomenal time last year. Met amazing people. I mean, great time. I mean, we saw so many movies, so many projects. Met a lot of cool filmmakers and just film fans, and it was definitely in our element being there. So we are working on getting our registration again for next year. Bit of a tease for you all. We got a few other projects, a few other things in the works. We are going to see our friend Isaac, our critic friend Isaac, very talented filmmaker Isaac Joel, and his film is coming out, I believe, is it next Friday or Saturday? There he is. I'm going to shout him out real quick because he's just a really good dude. His film, Midnight Rising, is coming out the 25th of October, which is, again, next Saturday at Tempe Pollock Theaters. Tempe Pollock Theater is really cool because it's a family-owned, independent, cinema here in Phoenix, and they're very big on giving back to the community as well as hosting events. My brother who has special needs, every year they host my brother's special needs organization for his rock band group every year, for like a whole movie kind of thing. And it's really, really cool that they kind of like allow organizations and aspiring filmmakers, indie filmmakers, kind of show their stuff here or show projects here. So again, support local, of course, support independent. But our friend, let's share it real quick. Let's see, being a little better with this. No, that's options. Come on, Dougie. Come on, 3 years doing this. How do I? There we go. There he is. Yeah, there he is right there. Midnight Rising. We're hyped to see this movie. We're so proud of him, and we are definitely going this Saturday to check it out. So I'll go for our reaction and our review, of course. But no, we're really proud of him. He's just a really good dude, very talented guy. We've been working on this forever, and we're trying to get him on the podcast, hopefully this week before the movie comes out. Not, after, but one of the best dudes right now. Just knowing him and past year or so knowing him, he's a really talented guy and very humble too. So if you're in the Phoenix area, check him out this Saturday. Again, Isaac Joel, but check out his movie Midnight Uprising this Saturday at Tempe Pollock Cinemas here in Phoenix, Arizona. Alrighty, guys, with that down, all the housekeeping down, let's get into our reviews this week. And like I said, too, I have two films for you all this week. I'm going to go in the order not how I saw them, but I just saw Good Fortune like an hour or two ago, so I'm still very fresh in my mind. And let's get on with Good Fortune, shall we? A movie that I was very looking forward to because a lot of our friends and colleagues at TIFF loved this movie and raved about it. And also, too, I'm a big fan of all his cast. I'm a big fan of Aziz Ansari from Parks and Rec to his stand-ups to funny small role in funny people when I was a kid. And I was like, who is this guy? He's pretty funny. And of course, Parks and Rec, 30 Minutes or Less, Master of None, Observer and Report. It's a funny scene with Seth Rogen in a movie called Observer and Report, which is a really dark comedy, but it's hilarious. It's pretty much the anti-Paul Blart because it's hard R and it's very, very crude, but it's super funny. Of course, Keanu's the man. Come on, Matrix, Speed, Parenthood, John Wick. I just love that franchise. Keke Palmer, who I just adore. I think she's got good energy and is really kind of a good person. So I love seeing her do stuff like this. And of course, Seth Rogen, who I'm a huge fan of ever since Superbad, Pineapple Express, and Freaks and Geeks. But four people who I really admire a lot in this business. But if you don't know good fortune is a well-meaning but inept angel named Gabriel meddles in the lives of a struggling gig worker and a wealthy venture capitalist. To the point. Guys, I love this movie. I really do. I had a fantastic time with this movie. Off the bat, listen, it's an original theatrical comedy. And I think this year has really proven to be a great year for comedies because we get stuff like One of Them Days, also Keke Palmer, Friendship, Naked Gun, and now this. So I think we're seeing a bit of a resurgence with theatrical comedies. I feel like the past couple of years we've just been, we've had a drought of comedies in general, but also theatrical comedies. And some of my favorite experiences as going to movies with friends and family our comedies. Like I think back to seeing Neighbors with some friends opening night, This Is the End, Ride Along, The Wedding Ringer. Like I think back to seeing, Superbad with my friends on the 10-year anniversary with them before I moved to Arizona. I think back to like all these great Jump Streets, like all these like fun comedies, Blockers, a little more recent of course, but Bridesmaids, seeing Bridesmaids with friends, I can think back to like certain summers or certain seasons and just like comedies. I'm looking forward to seeing Scary Movie 6 next year because I'm a big fan of the Wayans. I'm a big fan of, parody movies. But with that said, though, I just feel like there's been a big piece of me as a big film fan, film goer that is missing. And that's because we're missing comedies. And I really don't have a solution other than, comedy right now is in a really delicate space because, it's with the world, of course, and just how things are. Comedy, it's in limbo, I would say, and I feel like we really haven't gotten like a event comedy in a long time. I think Naked Gun came close to it, but I think back when Seth was opening movies, or even the early Apatow movie, Trainwreck. I remember seeing Trainwreck with some friends, and we were laughing our asses off. It was so much fun. The Apatow stuff, Adam Sandler, Kevin Hart, those kind of the Wayans, those kind of guys, Jim Carrey, like. We just haven't gotten comedies like the way they used to anymore. And I think a lot of studios and companies are afraid of, again, because I feel like, again, as someone who loves movies, loves the theater experience, I get it. Nowadays, you got to be an event to open movies. And I get it. And that's what we have streaming for. But streaming comedies, I've seen a couple that I do like. Some I'm like, these are not good. I've seen more bad than good. But I think that right now, a lot of financiers, a lot of studios are afraid to invest in comedies because a lot of it's the return. Like, hey, again, it's a return thing. I understand you want to protect your investment, but at the same time, comedies, I think, need to have a bit of a support to bring it back. And I think, a couple years ago when we had Joyride and No Hard Feelings, even Strays, we got a slight taste of that, but nowhere how we had pre-COVID or pre-2020 at least. But this year, I think is a bit of improvement, a bit like step forward. With that said, though, I think we have a long ways to go. But I really hope that maybe it'll be a turnaround next year. Like, hey, we'll have more comedies. And again, I remember seeing Friendship, which again, not a traditional comedy, but still a comedy, with 1,200 people at South by the Paramount Theater in Austin, was just like, oh, it was so cathartic. So I'm like, yes, like we're back with comedies. And, my crowd for this movie was, I'll say it's half packed the theater. And my theater wasn't that big, but it was half packed. When people laughed, they laughed. And it was very like, I got very like, almost like a high off it. I'm just like, yes. And there were certain jokes in this movie where I'm the one laughing hysterically because I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Certain jokes got me pretty well where I'm like, this is so funny. But again, I was looking forward to this movie, again, hearing good things about it. I was bummed that we missed out the screening last week. But again, we did choose, like I said, Black Phone. And again, I was bummed that people were looking at TIFF and all these festivals. And man, this movie is great. I think, will it crack my top 10? I don't know. It's hard, but I had a big smile on my face ear to ear because I just loved watching these guys. I loved watching Keanu with Seth Rogen and Keanu with Aziz with Seth. Like, I want to hang out with them. They were very buddy. Again, even though it's very kind of like, It's a Wonderful Life. It's Trading Places. It's a bit of Click. You want to hang out with these guys because you see the good in all of them despite their flaws. And all of them have great chemistry. They really do. And I had a big smile on my face, just kind of just like watching them, because I'm like, oh, they're kind of they're dorky and they're stupid, but like they're fun, and they deep down they all mean well despite their differences, I would say. And Keanu playing this angel was perfect casting, because I feel like we haven't seen him kind of like let loose in a while. Listen, I love John Wick, I really really do. He was really good as oh my god, what's his character's name in Toy Story 4? It's Toy Story Keanu Toy Story 4. Duke Kaboom was a great name. But you can tell even through a voice acting, like having a great time. And then this, you can tell he's having a lot of fun, because again, we haven't gotten this kind of like innocent and kind of like, boyish Keanu since probably like Bill and Ted, or Parenthood, Bill and Ted. Oh yeah, Bill and Ted. And I missed that. Again, he's a badass. Again, he's John Wick. He's Baba Yaga. He's Neo from the Matrix. But I thought what Aziz did with his character and the performance he got out of Keanu was very charming, very boyish, very full of wonder and hope and optimism. Where I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't seen Keanu like this in a very long time. And much as I love John Wick and The Matrix, I think this is probably one of his better acting roles in a long time. Listen, you see John Wick for the action and the bombastic, violence, but you only see it for the performances. I mean, again, he's putting in the work, all the stunt training, the tactical, the thing with the gun. When he flips the gun like this, sideways, it's badass. But like, again, he's not really putting on a great performance. I mean, physically wise and action wise, oh my god, to a T. But like acting in a way, I still love those movies regardless. I love that franchise very dearly. But with this, I was like, oh, he's actually doing some really pretty damn good acting. And again, props to Aziz for getting this kind of performance out of him. I really mean that. And Aziz, again, a guy who I've been watching since I was a kid. Again, I remember from Parks and Rec, Observer Report, Funny People. I was a fan of Master of None. I haven't watched it in a while. I remember liking the first season. I think season 2 I liked. Season 3 I thought it was cool, okay, but I remember season 1 liking it a lot. I think the love 2 I was like, oh, it was cool. And I love too, 30 Minutes or Less. Again, that movie I panned, but like it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Like that movie with him and Jesse Eisenberg and Danny McBride, Nick Swartz, and Michael Pena. It's a very like hour 20 like comedy, and it's hilarious. But I've been watching for a long time. I'm a big fan of his stand up too. Like he had a stand up that I loved back when we were in high school. It's called, what was it called? It was called Dangerously Delicious. And this might be my one-on-one for next week's podcast recommendation, because I remember seeing with some friends when we were like maybe end of middle school, early high school. I'm like, yo, this was hilarious. I think I even bought it on iTunes, because I'm like, this is so funny, because I kind of relate to it more now as an adult, but as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is like, it's crude and it's funny. And he's very honest, whatever. But I've been a big fan of his for a long, long time. I don't think his recent stand-up has been all that great. There's something I do. The one with Spike Jonze, I thought was interesting, but not great. But like his early stuff is like hilarious, including this one. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of him for a long, long time. And I've been, I always admire when actors turn directors or filmmakers. I'm like, wow, you've learned so much in your career so far. What can you do behind the camera? And I know the last movie he was working on as a director got canceled because of the Bill Murray situation. But I was like, oh, I wanted to see what he did as a director. And then he got this pretty quickly off the ground with great cast with Keke Palmer, Keanu, and Seth. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And I feel like, I'll be honest, I've seen actors turn directors where I'm like, nope. And I've seen actors turn directors where I'm like, holy shit. I think back to, Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born, Jonah Hill with mid-90s. One thing, Michael B. Jordan with Creed 3. Like a lot of people who I really admire. I didn't love Booksmart, but I thought Olivia Wilde's direction Booksmart was very, I thought she had a lot of, wit and charm to it. But I think back to a lot of actors. I'm like, again, I'll be honest too. There's actors where I'm like, become filmmakers, and I'm like, stick to acting or stick to producing, I would say. And again, making a movie is hard. I know that, but I do give them people props when they do try, make that shift from acting to directing. But there's times where it's very apparent where you're like, this isn't for you. And even my reaction to this movie too, I said, I can definitely have an eye now for first-time filmmakers where you're like, yeah, this feels very first-time filmmakery. We just watched Anemone, Daniel Day-Lewis's son movie a few weeks ago, and that screamed first-time filmmaker. You're just like, you're still learning, my man. Like, maybe give it a few more years. I'm not saying, people can't, get better over time, but I know with, debut directing debuts, I know a lot where I'm just like, ooh, that wasn't that great, and I'm like, oh, I can definitely tell with the first time filmmaker. But with this, I was very impressed with his filmmaking. So I'm like, it didn't really feel like a first time filmmaker. I felt like he kind of learned a lot from his time in comedy and directing TV. Now to this, I'm like, oh wow, it showed a lot of potential for him as a filmmaker, a lot of strengths, a few weaknesses, but I'll get into that later. But I was really impressed with his direction. So I'm like, oh wow, he has a good eye for storytelling and good eye for kind of like directing like high concept comedy. And I was really impressed. Where I'm like, wow, like, and then for a comedy, it looked really good with the cinematography. Where I'm like, whoa, this looks really sharp for a studio comedy because it's made by Lionsgate. And so after seeing this, I'm like, dude, Aziz, direct whatever you want, man. I'm on board now. And again, I know he made some episodes of Master of None, but like movie wise, I was really impressed with how sharp and how really like he was very focused on, heartfelt and humorous with a message. And I don't mind social commentary in movies and messaging in movies, but like don't beat us over the head with it. With this, he had a lot to say about the modern job market. As someone who's in the job market myself, looking for work still here and there, I kind of relate to that because I'm like, yeah, I know friends like this. I've been there before. I have a family that way before. So I appreciate that he didn't shy away from how kind of messed up the current job market is and how like people will work their asses off for maybe a few bucks more, a few benefits here and there. And I thought it was I was really like, again, how he managed the messaging, not like subtly. It wasn't like, again, there's a few things I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. Again, I get it, whatever. But for the most part though, he managed to kind of like have the message in a very kind of like I would say very well balanced. I would say that's for sure. It was well balanced. So again, I relate to a lot of like what he was trying to say in this movie. And again, Keanu playing an angel, because again, it's in my reaction to it, it's very Frank Capra. Frank Capra did, It's a Wonderful Life. Because I felt like like, oh, if your life had this, whatever, what could it be? And then also again, I saw a lot of a lot of it with Trading Places with Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. And again, and how I saw it too, I saw a lot of Click, and it's probably a weird like comparison, like that Sandler Click movie. Yeah, just because of how high concept both these movies are, as well as kind of like in Click, Adam Sandler was like, hey, look, I got this remote, make my life better, but you're missing out on the smaller stuff. And this movie too, when Keanu switches Seth's life to Aziz's life, the characters that is, it's like, oh wow, like listen, like again, in the trailer he goes, it looks like wealth kind of solved all his problems. And again, with how Aziz's character is, he's like, wow, like I'm rich now, I can afford all of this, I have a beautiful mansion, like I can do whatever I want. And again, it's like, oh wow, you might have it all now, but are you truly happy? And I love that kind of like, you can break it down, both Click and both this, how that message, like, yeah, you have all this now, but are you really happy? What are you missing out on? And again, you better celebrate the small stuff, no matter how small it is. And I'm like, wow, I got all that from this movie. I was really impressed with it. Keke Palmer, who I just adore, love her energy. I thought she was so good in Nope. I thought, for again, who very comedic with her timing as well. I just thought a lot of this movie was her showing off her dramatic chops. And there were certain scenes with like when she's working at like the hardware store. She put on a great performance. While I'm like, wow, she's showing her acting chops, and we saw a bit of it, of course, in Nope, even a little bit in One of Them Days. But with this, I was like, damn, girl, go off, because she's really showing off some like some serious range. And I think again, her personality is very big, but when she can be dramatic, she can be dramatic. And I thought that there were certain scenes where Aziz had is very kind of like I guess very vulnerable moments or very kind of like hopeless moments, and she shined, and I thought she was fantastic. So even though she's not with the guys, not with Keanu and Seth a lot in the movie, she's more scenes with Aziz, of course, but like when she's on the screen, she shines, and I thought her performance was fantastic. So again, props to Aziz for getting all these kind of performances out of his ensemble cast and directing himself. Again, a bit of a hard task to do, so from what I'm told. But again, I just was really, really impressed with his direction. And again, everyone in the movie kind of just shined. If I had any cons in the movie, I think towards the end it drags a bit when like there's a bit of a reveal kind of happen. You're kind of like, okay, cool, and it kind of just drags a bit. I still have a good time with it, but I did feel the pace kind of like, okay, like maybe a few here and there could have been shaved. But yeah, guys, I mean, all I had a complaint wise, I'm just like, oh, okay. Also, too, again, even though she was good in it, I could have used a bit more Kiki Palmer. Like I said, no, I'm praising her performance. There was a bit where I'm like, I could use a bit more for maybe hang out with the guys a bit more. Sandra Oh was really good too. Small role, supporting role, but I thought Sandra Oh was really funny because again, there's certain scenes where she's playing it straight, but then she's kind of just like, the fuck are you doing? And it's kind of funny. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good, Sandra Oh, and she has it down pat. And, she's a legendary actress too. But again, I think everyone kind of shines in this movie. And also too, it's a movie that was, I think, filmed in LA. I think they got shut down because of the strikes a couple years ago, but they went back to shooting in LA. And again, it's really rare nowadays to shoot a film in LA, let alone in the States, because of all the incentives to go elsewhere and how expensive it is to shoot in the U.S. now. But I really did appreciate that. Hey, it's filmed in L.A. It definitely feels definitely love letter to L.A. in certain points. And watching out this one actor, there's a really sweet scene because when basically Keanu's playing an angel and he has to IMDb's down. I think there's actually Amazon outage right now as we speak. So yay! So can't show you the IMDb unfortunately. But whoops. But there was an actor. I'm gonna see if it's on Rotten Tomatoes. There was a scene where Keanu Reeves plays an angel, and then because he fucked up pretty badly, his boss, played by Sandra Oh, kind of like fires him as an angel. That's when the whole kind of like Frank Capra, What's Wonderful Life comes in, because he has to teach Bailey to hey, love your life again. I'll show you what it's like, whatever. But there was an actor. Oh man, it's not showing up on IMDb. There's an actor, Hispanic actor, who had a really nice scene with Keanu Reeves of oh man, why are you so sad? And he's just hey, I'm gonna cheer you up. I'm bring dancing with my family here at some club in LA. And it was really sweet. I'm like, we all need a friend like that, kind of when you're down, kind of cheer you up, whatever, and kind of showed what life has to offer. And I do love how in this movie, Keanu, when he loses his angel-isms or angelness, he gets to see what being a human is like, and it's really sweet because I feel like there's a lot of scenes where he's like, oh wow, this is what life could be like, and stuff like that. And I don't have that, but right now I'm still enjoying it for what it is. But I don't know, I thought it was a really sweet movie. I thought a lot of charm to it. Again, hilarious and heartfelt. And I had a huge smile on my face. There's one scene, it might be a spoiler, and I apologize, where when Aziz is switched to Seth Rogen's life, he's all rich, whatever. He helps his friend out from the gym, get an apartment, get all nice clothes, whatever, and he goes outside. And Aziz is kind of sad. I'm like, oh, am I truly happy? And his friend that he helped out walks in. And he goes, why are you sad, man? And he's just like, I don't know, man, that'll be better or whatever. He goes, but man, his friend's like, man, you help me get a job, you help me get an apartment. Man, I'm eating croissant. Man, I can't even pronounce the motherfucker. It's pretty funny how he says it. And I was the only one laughing. I thought that was hilarious. No one was laughing. I thought it was really funny when his friend was couldn't pronounce some kind of fancy croissant, whatever. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. He seemed so angry when he was pronouncing it. That cracked me up loudly. But again, one of the few that actually laughed in that theater during that scene. But yeah, guys, I really had a great time with this movie. I said I see a lot of potential with him as a filmmaker. I do think it's minus maybe the pacing a little bit of this movie. I had a great time with this movie. I really did. And again, please go support original films like this. If you want to laugh, have a good time, check this out. I'm giving this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. I really did. And I really did. I really am. I had a wonderful time with this. Like I said, will it make my top 10? Tough. You're still young. We got a few months left. I have more movies to see. Got to figure out what my other 10 rank right now. But I love this movie. Check it out, please. Again, go support original films like this and support new filmmakers like Aziz Ansari. Yeah, he's been around for a while, but he's making a name for himself. So please see it with the crowd, see it on the big screen. It is definitely worth the price of admission. Alrighty, folks, moving on to a movie that will be hitting theaters this week. A movie that I didn't get to see in theaters, unfortunately, because of how the screenings were going. Thanks to our friends, of course, at Movies More Fun for the link for this movie. And this movie is Blue Moon. So Blue Moon, again, not the beer. The beer is great too, don't get me wrong. But this is made by my boy, my favorite filmmaker of all time, the man, the myth, the legend, Richard Linklater. And you've heard me in the podcast before. His movies changed my life, from Days Confused, School of Rock, Everybody Wants Some, Boyhood, you name it. And it was in college where I was like, oh yeah, he's my favorite filmmaker. I remember seeing Days Confused when I was in high school, when I was like, it hit me. I was like, whoa, this is not my era, but I just love the movies. I love the soundtrack, love the vibes. I love kind of just the little bits of the characters. I love the soundtrack, of course. I love the performances. And then I remember as a kid, School of Rock, I was obsessed with. Jack Black was one of my heroes as a kid. I love that movie so much. I watched it recently. holds up so well 22 years later. Love that movie. And the Before trilogy, I just adore. Criterion, looking for your next sale. I'm on the Criterion sale hopefully soon. It's always sold out. Can't always get copies, so please have a copy in store when you're your next sale. But again, guy I just really admire a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, when we were in Austin, he's an Austin boy. He's his company's in Austin. Hitman, my favorite movie of last year. And I've told the story so many times though, but everybody wants movie that kind of changed my life. I was watching it, on the plane ride when I was moving to Arizona before I started college here. And the movie has a freshman going to college, he's new in town, whatever. I'm new in town to Arizona. Again, it was in the 80s, of course, not different era, but still. He played baseball, I played baseball. He liked beer, I like beer, so it's kind of like, oh, this is really cool. I saw myself in this movie, and I remember having like goosebumps the entire time. I remember 10 minutes in, I'm just like, I fucking love this movie. I really, really do. And I can watch it when I'm feeling sad. I can put Days, like Everybody Wants Some on in a heartbeat, and I will feel much better. And why have it on my wall right there? I just love this movie. I think it's insanely underrated. When it came out, no one saw it, unfortunately, but it's just a beautiful, fun, just really kind of hangout kind of movie. Again, most of his films are. They're hangout movies. They're very dialogue heavy, and they're very, again, hangout movies. They're very kind of just like, hang out with the guys, hang out with the girls, hang out with the group, whatever. Slacker was, same thing. Before trilogy is all talking, but again, that's his strength. He makes really human and really character-driven pieces, because again, that's his strength, of course. But Blue Moon, I was like, ooh, he has 2 films out this year. It's this and like Nouvelle Vague. I think it's like a French New Wave film with Zoe Deutsch. But Blue Moon, I was hearing awesome things about it from Tiff, and I'm like, ooh, yes, that's my guy. I didn't know much about Lorenz Hart, I'll be honest with you. And this movie's about Lorenz Hart, and I believe he made, again, the song Blue Moon. What was his biography? I did more research after, clearly, as you can tell, after watching it. Movie the other day, Love Me Tonight, Phantom President, Mississippi, Jumbo, On Your Toes, By Jupiter, Too Many Girls, projects. I should have done my homework with this. Manhattan, Pal Joey, The Boys from Syracuse, On Your Toes. Anyway, very established playwright and lyricist. Again, big on Broadway, of course. So again, didn't know much about the guy. I knew he was a very talented writer, and he was short. That's all I knew about him. And so with this, Linklater to me is always day one. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's streaming. I don't care if it's theatrical, of course. And I'm not gonna lie to you, he's the one guy I probably would track down for any movie. And last year when Hitman was coming out, we got it in one theater up north in Scottsdale, and I said, I'm going to see this movie. I had to see it because, again, I feel like I kind of owe him to go see all his movies in theaters. After missing Everybody Wants Some, I'm like, not doing that again. I remember I think we went to a screening in college for his movie. Oh my God, it's called. It was called Last Flag Flying. Yeah, Last Flag Flying. With Bryan Cranston, Lawrence Fishburne, and Steve Carell. Very underrated movie. Very heavy, very dense. I remember seeing that in college with some friends at a screening. I'm just like, see, I can't miss his movies. I can't miss them. I don't love that movie, but I'm a huge fan of that movie. And then I saw Where'd You Go, Bernadette. I was disappointed with that movie. But again, gotta have one bad apple sometimes in your batch. Which is totally understandable. But I always now see his movies no matter what in theaters. And I was bummed because we were in Austin, of course, South by Southwest back in March, and he was there, and I was kind of like a crazy fan. I was just like, I want to thank him for he being one of my favorite filmmakers, being one of my heroes, and I felt like we missed him every time. Like, he was just here. I'm just like kind of like Batman. He was just like, he just here, you just missed him. I'm like, oh no. So hopefully we can meet him, at the next one. Again, I want to thank him for just his craft, all the movies he's made, and it's been a huge impact on me in my life, from a kid to now being an adult. So this is his recent film, again, which is hitting theaters this Friday. I think it was limited last week, or no, limited I think last week or the week before, and now it's going wide this Friday by Sony Classics. And Blue Moon, again, not the beer, the movie, Blue Moon. In 1943, lyricist Lorenz Hart confronts his shattered self-confidence in a bar as his former collaborator Richard Rodgers celebrates the opening night of his groundbreaking hit musical, Oklahoma. Like most of his movies, this movie is all dialogue and in one location. Well, technically, I guess it goes from like being in a theater to a bar, but majority of the movie is all in a bar. And again, if you're not a fan of kind of like play or like one kind of like stage play into movies, this won't be for you because the movie is dialogue heavy the entire time. And I think I have the preference that people, if I know I have friends and I have colleagues that are like, oh, really, it's one of these movies. Again, I love those. Again, I love all film, but like, I know I had friends see movies with, they're like, oh man, it's only one place. I don't want to see that. Again, that's preference too. No judging against them. I teach their own. But I do love those kind of movies, you know, full heartedly. And also with him, again, I'm more biased because he's a Linklater. And, you know, I saw it at home, had a link for it for the screening. Thanks for working for the movies more fun. And this movie, I thought was very witty, very poetic, and very charming. But it's also emotionally devastating. It was like tragic at times because, again, he's dealing with Ethan Hawke, who plays Lorenz Hart in this movie. He's really dealing with alcoholism. He's dealing with depression. He's dealing with, you know, regret, mental health, and it's a very, very, very dense movie. But you do want to see him kind of like, you know, win, if that makes sense. But he's just going through a lot. I mean, the guy has a lot going on, and also you throw in alcoholism, you're kind of like, ugh, like, oh man, like, you know, come on, but get a win here, please. And I thought what Ethan Hawke does brilliantly is that you see how broken this guy is, despite him trying to, like, you know, fight through it, put a smile on his face. You know, he's very optimistic, he's very hopeful, but again, he has some demons. He has some demons, and he has a lot of issues, and you want him to kind of like come out of this on top, but you know that no matter what, he still won't be happy. And I thought that what Ethan Hawke does in this is brilliant, and I think it's probably his best performance in quite a while. Listen, Train Day, one of my favorite movies of all time. He's awesome in that as the GOAT Denzel. You know, Ethan Hawke, to me, I haven't seen a bad movie from him personally as a performance. I've seen bad movies that he's in, but I've seen a bad performance from him, I think, that I know of personally, but he just shines the movie. And again, I don't know how they did it with like the height, because he's pretty, like, I think like average height, or like maybe like, how tall was Ethan Hawke actually? Oh, he's a little shorter than me. He's like 5'10", okay, whatever. Anyway, so taller dude, and then Lorenz Hart was like 5'2". So yeah, definitely a big difference, noticeable difference with this. But I just really thought that, like, the way how vulnerable Ethan Hawke was in this movie, because again, he's very witty, he's talking, again, it's credit to, you know, Linklater as a filmmaker, as a writer. I think he co-wrote this. No, Robert Kaplow wrote this, but I think he did the revisions. Linklater did. But anyway, Robert Kaplow's script is very sharp, very witty, very dramatic. It's very he wrote Me Orson Welles, also made by Linklater. Anyway, the dialogue is very, very Aaron Sorkin-esque. While watching it, I'm like, it feels very Aaron Sorkin, bit of Rob Reiner, a little bit here and there, and I'm just like, oh wow. But again, that's more credit to Linklater. He knows how to make these movies really kind of feel intimate with character-driven stories. And I just was watching him. I'm just like, oh man, Ethan Hawke, man, is delivering a phenomenal performance. Like I said too, I don't think he's been this memorable though in a movie in a while. Again, I loved him in the Magnificent Seven remake, but again, it's more of an action kind of, you know, fun movie. But this is like, he's acting his ass off, and you see how broken this man is. You know, even though he's successful, like, and I think a lot of movies, when we can show like you can be top of the world and you're still not happy, it's a hard pull. You kind of sit back, you're just like, whoa. And, you know, I do think that this movie kind of showcases, like, hey, look at this guy, talented, you know, charming, very, you know, full of wit, but deep down he has demons and he's struggling. And I just thought this movie was another beautiful, you know, collaboration between him and Linklater. I think this was our fifth, was it third? So 3, 4 trilogy, Boyhood, and it's like the 5th project. And these two just work so well together. You know, some actors have their person, and I do think, you know, Linklater to Hawke is definitely one that's really a beautiful and great collaboration, and it shows. I'll tell you what though, again, I've been seeing her a lot more stuff now. I'm liking her more and more with each stuff. Margaret Qualley in this is remarkable. She really is. And again, listen, she was great in The Substance. You know, she's good in The Nice Guys. But seeing this, to me, I was like, this is a turning point for her. I'm just like, oh, look at this. Because she can handle a film like this with heavy dialogue, a lot of emotion, singular location, and because it's all in her performance. And there's a scene where they're both in a closet, and closet type thing. And Lawrence Hart, played by Ethan Hawke, is like pouring his heart out to Margaret Qualley's character, and you feel for him. And when she says, "I love you, but I love you not like that," you're like, oh, like come on, like give this guy a break or at least a chance. And you see the sadness fall on Ethan Hawke's face, and Margaret Qualley's crying because she loves him dearly, but not like that. But like she don't want to break his heart because she knows like how much it means how much he means to her. But you feel heartbroken, just like, come on, oh dude, like this guy better win, please. But I thought Margaret Qualley in this was just in a way a revelation, as was Ethan Hawke. You know, them together, I think was just, they had great chemistry. I would love to see them more stuff. See, Margaret Qualley, I think, is always good in things. She was not good in that last Coen brother movie. The Honey Dunn movie was ass. Professionally speaking, of course. But with Margaret Qualley, I've seen her in a lot more recently. I'm like, wow, she really can pull it off. And again, I think back to Substance and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Happy Gilmore too. Poor Things is more of a smaller role, whatever. And I'm trying to think back to like her other movies. Substance, of course. Poor Things, small role. But again, this to me, I was like, wow. Like, wow. Like, I was blown away by her, because I'm just like, she's just putting on performance, and it's very old-time Hollywood, hence, being the 40s, of course, but really, like, she's put on this very kind of just very charismatic, very just like witty, and the way she speaks and the dialogue for her was perfect. I think this was a perfect casting for her. And to me, I'm just like, I want to see you do more of this. Work with more Linklaters like this. Work with more talented filmmakers like this. I feel like they get such good, just remarkable performances out of her. And I want to see her do more stuff with Linklater. But watching her, I was just so in awe of her. I'm like, wow. And I think, and I love The Substance, I really do. But I think this is her best performance of her career so far. Again, I don't know if it will get the same traction The Substance did, probably not. But just watching her, I was just like, it's just very old-time Hollywood films that are just like, iconic. She's emulating this very old-time, 40s, person. But man, when she's on screen, she steals the movie. And again, watching her and Ethan Hawke going back and forth was just a masterclass in dialogue and acting and emotion. I was sitting there like, oh my God. As much as I love him, I do think this movie, some of my cons I will say though is that I do think if you're familiar with Lawrence Hart, his work, you'll like it a lot more. Not being familiar with him, I was kind of like, again, not on my phone, but I was kind of like trying to like think like, okay, what should I look up after this movie? Blah, 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 blah. So I think if you already know who the guy is, these kind of music, I think you'll appreciate it more. Me personally, again, as a film fan, as he's my boy, Linklater's my boy. It's like, okay, like I liked it for that reason, as a filmmaking thing. Ethan Hawke and Margaret Qualley, and also too, Bobby Cannavale in this is great. Small role with the bartender. It's very old time Hollywood as well. He's very charming in his own way, as kind of like the guy who owns the place as well. And whenever he was talking to Ethan Hawke, I was just so like, oh man, like they have so much charm together, and I want to see him do more stuff with Linklater as well. But like, Bobby Cannavale for a small role, like you root for him too. You get a feel good kind of character, very kind of like helps the plot move on a little bit more as well. But I loved him in this. I thought he was great. Again, I'm a big fan of him as well. But like seeing him in this, I was like, dude, do more shit like this, please. But again, not knowing the move, not knowing this guy or his work, I would definitely say maybe do some homework on him first and then watch it. But if you're already a fan of his or a fan of his work, then you're in for a treat. But I do think that I felt like homework was needed for this movie a bit at times, where I'm like, don't know that. And again, I think in quote unquote traditional biopics, it's not a biopic. This is just more just like a a one night this guy's life, whatever. But I do like when I can watch a biopic and be and I'm like, okay, cool. I know anything about these guys, but now I'm hooked. Like Rocket Man by Elton John, who he was, of course, but I knew more of him, whatever. But I appreciate with the kind of like like establish, like, oh, yeah, this person did this and this career is whatever. Again, I don't need it all kind of like, like, what's the word? Laying out, clear as day for me. But I still like when I learn more about a certain real life person that I didn't know before, and I can appreciate, their work even more or legacy even more. But with this, I was kind of like, yeah, I probably would have maybe liked them more if I knew who these people were or did my homework, whatever. But that's still a very incredibly well made film, well crafted to a T. Again, it's definitely another hangout movie. Again, it's a different kind of hangout movie. Again, not Days Confused. Not everybody wants him. It's not Boyhood. It's definitely a hangout film from his kind of style of filmmaking. But with that said, though, it's a movie that I probably wouldn't be so eager to watch again, if that makes sense. And his filmography, again, I don't watch Slacker as often, or I don't watch Where'd You Go Burn Dead as often, or even Last Flag Flying, because they're more heavy and more dense. But it's quote unquote more fun movies, I guess, like Hitman, everybody wants them, and Days Confused. I watch more, but still though, I was really in awe of his direction. He's not underrated, but to me, I think he is. I feel like he's one of those guys that when I say, hey, Linklater, they go, if you're a massive film fan like we are, you know who he is, or maybe some of my parents know who he is, of course, but certain people that know his movies. I don't think it's a household name like Tarantino and Spike Lee and Christopher Nolan, Scorsese, Spielberg, but I think he's a bit underrated in that sense, if that makes sense, in that matter. But I still think he's just one of those guys that just makes amazing films. And again, as someone who's massive fan of him, I'm always there day one. So I would give Blue Moon a solid. It probably be my top 10, even though he's my boy. And, Hitman was my favorite movie of last year. Like I said, I'm probably repeating myself 100 times at this point. I still would give this movie a solid 8 just because of the acting and the screenwriting and the direction. I really would give it for that. Will for sure be my honorable mentions, no doubt about it, but not a film that I would go back and revisit often. But again, the performance in this are just out of this world and it's amazing. The direction is so sharp and it's so precise, and the writing is so witty and very poetic. So yeah, I'm gonna give Blue Moon an 8 out of 10 just because of that reason. But again, if you are a fan of this kind of era, the 40s, Broadway, whatever, good acting, for sure go see it. But again, I would say it's not really an enthusiastic 8 out of 10, but still because of just the work and credit that was put into this movie, I had to give it for that. But yeah, again, always though with him, it's a day one for me no matter what. So yeah, guys, those are two of my reviews for this week's review Roundup episode. Like I said, as always, 2 different movies on brand, of course. What to tease this week? Like I said, we might have our friend Isaac on the pod this week if things go well with scheduling. We teased the Blumhouse game last week. If Moses and Nick are both free this week for the podcast. Let me think. This week, I think Regretting You's coming out. I haven't heard much about it, but I'll see it regardless. Like I said, catching up on Smashing Machine as well as Roofman. And what else comes out this week? Let's see. I'm missing one. Where are the horror movies, guys? Let's go with that. What is coming out? Where are the horror movies out for? I think we have more horror movies beginning of the year and middle of the year until now, except for spooky season. Not as much. What is this week? Oh, Shelby Oaks. Yes, Shelby Oaks. Looking forward to that. Chris Stuckman, YouTuber. Extraordinaire, now filmmaker. Yes, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Yeah, an example. I know his songs, don't know shit about the guy, but looking forward to seeing it and seeing what I can learn. Also a big fan of Jeremy Allen White, and Paul Walter Hauser and Stephen Graham. Looking forward to that. Seeing that, hopefully see that this weekend too. So yeah, it's probably looking for a review of that as well as Regretting You and Shelby Oaks. I think we're in Shelby Oaks first, the theater near us. And then nothing for a minute. And then we got Hallow Road. That's coming out. Yeah, what we got for that review, I guess. And then Predator is the next big movie for November. So we got a lot cooking. So we got for that. Again, try to definitely build out the YouTube a bit more, build out the IG a bit more, Instagram a bit more. Want to do more shorts and more clips from the show to kind of drag you into the podcast, of course, long-form podcast. Begonia. That's what I'm missing. Begonia's next week. That is Homeboy did Poor Things, Yorgos Lanthimos, who did, The Lobster, Poor Things. Oh, my God. The Favorite, or The Fable You Write, as Keane Thompson says in SNL. Not the biggest fan of him as a filmmaker, but we have a screening for it next Monday, so we have that on Monday. Look out for our reaction for that. And I'm trying to think what else we have teased, but that's it for the most part. I'm gonna try. Hopefully, I think we'll get Frankenstein. I think in some theaters, but yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find that nearby, or if we can see it at a theater near us. But yeah, a lot more on the pipeline. Again, it's only October, but man, guys, we have so much more going on for you all for the end of the year. But of course, as always, guys, go to the movies. There's a plethora right now of so much going on in theaters. You have stuff. I don't care about Tron, of course, but still, you got Tron, you got Roofman, you got Good Fortune, you got Smashing Machines, you got One Bad After Another still out in theaters. Guys, the theaters are packed now with good movies and not so good movies, but still, go to the movies, get a popcorn, get an ice, get a big soda. You deserve it. But more importantly, of course, as always, we will see you guys at the movies.